Hello and welcome to the greatest Tamil science channel. I'm your host Vishakha and we're in conversation with Dr.C.K.Nandagopalan. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Vishakha. Warm welcome.
We've been on a series of diabetes and trying to understand the causes and the effects on different parts of the organs of the body and how the organs contribute to diabetes. We're going to take a small break from this series to talk about something that's extremely relevant, in fact critical to the world today. The one word that's most uttered today is either Corona or Covid-19. We are in some way or the other connected to this word or connected to the virus through somebody, through the news, through what we've seen all over the world. So we're going to take a gap from our series and focus upon Covid-19 for today's episode, so that of all the myths and all the information floating around everything, let's pick up or let's crystallize into some very specific information on what is COVID, what it means for you, when should you really get worried about COVID rather than being affected by the news, etc. And if at all you want to save yourself from COVID, how can you do it? Good morning, sir.
Morning.
So first of all, sir, I don't think there's anybody in the world, from a little child to an old person, who doesn't know the word. But can you just tell us in brief, what is COVID-19 or what is Corona?
Okay. Viruses are innumerable in numbers all over the world, which has been there ever since the living species started on this earth. Or you can call it before the bacterial creation of the nature, virus was there.
Right.
We knew about the viruses which attack us. Only when a virus attack you, then we try to go into the analysis of what viruses got into our system by going and studying in a vivid manner. Only maybe from 1980-85 onwards. Prior to that, we never had the modern gadgets to study about virus, the pattern, the genome and all that stuff.
True.
So there are innumerable number of viruses which we still don't know. But let's come to COVID-19. Corona is a common terminology. Corona is a virus, it's there in existence, which causes this common cold and all that stuff. The first thing that in 2002 we had SARS. SARS is a type of corona. It was named after COVID-2. It's called SARS. SARS is SARS, that is a severe acute respiratory syndrome.
Right.
It affects our lung. So when the SARS came in 2002, the statistics what we had, it affected only 8,000 people. That started in China, and then around mortality was around 810%. Then later it was controlled and all that stuff. SARS is still there. We don't know in which pocket it comes and goes and all that. But then it slowly mutated itself. In 2012, we experienced the MERS,
Right,
MER, that the Middle East
MERS,
Respiratory Syndrome. It was a little severe. It is also Corona COVID only. At that time, we had 25,000 people were affected with this, the statistics what we have. And around 8,400 people who died, which is around totally about 34%, around close to 35%. Then that got subsided or whatever. Then in 2019, this COVID-19 started.
Right.
It is further mutated, and now there are many theories are floating around, whether it is come from bat to another living creature into human, or it is leaked from a laboratory and all that. We will not go into all that thing, because that truth we can never find out.
Right.
It's very difficult. So we will not talk about that. So we'll only zoom on what's COVID-19. COVID-19 is unusually the viruses are very, very small stuff. So they are around 4 micron or 6 micron, 8 micron, things like that in size. But then this COVID-19 is around 150 plus micron, slightly bigger. So if you take a COVID, if you zoom it and see it in the screen, you can go to the YouTube and you can see them. There are enough of scientific documentaries already been released. So it has a red outer layer of protein, which is called the spike protein. Like you have how you have the ice axe, which you axe and climb the mountain. It has spikes,
Right.
which is red in color. So it spikes itself onto your lung cells as it go in. It has to catch the cell in.
Right.
It spikes. Then you have the bluish another layer of protein, which is called hemoglobin aeronautic protein. Some name they have given. Then in the nuclei, it has a string of an RNA. This is what is COVID. So as it goes inside, it catches hold of the cell membrane with a spike protein, and then find its way inside the cell.
Into the cell.
This is what is your COVID-19, which has the capacity to damage your lung. In a mug, now they call this as severe acute respiratory distress syndrome.
Right.
Is COVID-19. Yeah.
So how does it affect, as you said, it goes and catches the or clings on to the cells of the lungs. So how does COVID actually affect the organs?
See, always, the skin is our outer layer of the body. The skin is called in modern science, they named it as primary immune barrier. Primary immune barrier. Primary immune barrier is your dermatology, your skin, and no microorganisms or bacteria or viruses can penetrate through any part of your skin. It's not possible. That's why it's called primary immune barrier. Suppose if you have an open wound, then you have the chance. The only way in which it can enter, why do they ask you to wash your hands? Is because we keep using our hands on our face for something or the other. We do like this, we do like something we keep doing, which we don't know. There are many studies have been made at the moment that nearly a person on an average touches his face with his hands, either one of the hand or both the hands, nearly about 180 to 200 times in a day. So any viruses which can get in is through your mouth, through your nose, through your eyes and ears and things like that. These are the openings with which the virus can go in. We constantly keep breathing. So there are a lot of viruses which goes inside. Anything through these eyes or nose, ears and mouth, anything goes inside these gateway. Everything gets filtered by adenoid. An adenoid is a small flesh-like piece of an organ, which is there behind your nasal cavity, which you cannot visibly see. Tonsils you can see as, the doctors make you open up your mouth and put a torch and see whether the tonsils are swollen, infected. Adenoid is behind that, so visually we can't see that. Adenoid blocks all your viral load. It will not allow anything inside. That's a system that what nature has given us. Where the blood flow, or the WPC, the immune system, the T cells comes and fight the viral load. So suppose COVID-19 gets into you, it will be blocked by the adenoid. In a person to person, minimum 3 to maximum 7-8 days. The WPC will try to fight it and wipe it off. Otherwise, once they start producing their copies, breeding themselves more and more there, then they start
enter the lungs,
dipping into the thoracic cavity.
It's a misconception, sir, that as you're breathing, the virus is going straight into your lungs and affecting your lungs. No, you do have a...
No, it will not immediately.
Right.
No. Adenoid will block. It is not only COVID-19 which is there in the air,
many
transmitted from person to person. No. There are huge amount of viruses which always there in the air. And which goes inside and gets blocked by adenoid, and it won't allow anything inside. That's a basic barrier system that we have to protect ourselves, given to us by nature. Body has all the mechanism to protect itself from anything and everything. Only when those barrier is broken, then it gets inside. Simple.
Okay. Now, who are the people who are more susceptible to contacting?
Anybody, any age group, from a newborn to the old age people, irrespective of man or woman, anybody can get any virus. It is not that COVID only attack me, not attack you and things like that. No way. Any virus can come into anybody. COVID can come into anybody. Suppose if you are in an atmosphere where a lot of COVID patients are there, they're sneezing or coughing or whatever, their droplets, Now recently, yesterday, 289 scientists have
They've
declared that
written
it is
to
an
who
airborne, which has been backed up by the WHO announcement that it is an airborne.
It is airborne. Yeah.
Airborne, yeah.
But is there an a factor of my personal immunity where if my immunity is stronger or weaker? How can I measure that? How susceptible I am to actually contacting it? I might be exposed to COVID-19, but that doesn't mean that everybody has the same immunity. So is there some measures of immunity where I would know that I'm stronger or weaker than somebody else?
There is no question of a measure. It is not possible for us. We don't have any test parameters to find out immunity is 100 points. That we take a test and see this person has got 92 points, this person has got 28 points. We don't have that kind of a parameter or measure or whatever you call it. Immune system is an inbuilt mechanism by the human body. That is, the hematology will be divided into three major categories: RBC, WBC and platelets. These are the three first major division of hematology. Hematology is studying the blood, human blood. Yeah. So WBC is what is one is for immune system. So the immune regulator is the spleen.
Right.
Spleen is the immune regulator, which is very important for the strength of WBC. So if you go and study about the spleen, then you will know what sort of an immune regulator. We are not going to go into that. So then further from this WBC, RBC and platelet, when we come down, then when you study the WBC part of it, you study about the T cells, you study about the neutrophils, you study about the monocytes, lymphocytes. All these things are immune barriers, various levels of immune barriers. And what happens here is how strong with your immune is how strong with your spleen is functioning.
Okay.
Your spleen is very important for your immune strength. Because spleen, when it has direct relationship of many commands to the brain, to the bone marrows, the regulatory system of WBC production. When you get blood cancer, the leukemia, it is the excess production of WBC.
Right.
So when the spleen regulation goes off and there is no proper command, then the bone marrows and the other systems where the WBC is produced, they are produced without control in huge numbers. So it should be of some volume into your blood.
Right.
So in blood test and all, you would have seen, whenever you go for your constant fever of 1 week or something, you go for your blood test, you can always see your neutrophil is on the higher side.
Yeah.
That's one of the antibody. That is one of the immune.
The body automatically starts reproducing more.
Yes. So it is, the answer to your question is, how healthy you are.
Yeah, maybe how healthy
is
you are.
Based on your immune system is placed. That is one. And how disciplined you are with your food and nutrition, your nutrient values of the food and nutrition, your exercising, your body movements and all that stuff, the non-polluted atmosphere in which you live. There are a number of criteria which attributes to your the strength of the immune power that you have within your inbuilt system. This is one. The primary stuff. The secondary stuff is age related. Your peak period of life is between 16 to 25. At that time, your immune power is always high. You cannot expect the same immune power at the age of 65, 60 plus, 70 plus. Right. There tend to be a slowdown in your immune power also. So the measure of immune power is also related to the age factor of a person, the wear and tear of the person. Basically, the emotional turbulences reduce your immune power, especially the fear factor. Fear factor reduces your immune power by huge quantity. You can see this, many experts talk
True. Yes.
about the immune system. If you have a good mental health, if you are not fearing, there are fear of known, there are fear of unknown, there are fear of others' opinion. There are so many things, so many different types of fear factors.
Yeah.
So fear factor is one of the emotions which can really step down your immune power.
Okay, that's a very important point, sir. So now when people contact COVID-19, and we've seen the mortality rate also go up. So when the people who are actually dying of the coronavirus, COVID-19 virus, is it because of the lung infections only, things like pneumonia, etc., or is it a lot of times it is secondary, secondary complications that seem to arise? So how does it COVID-19 actually affect the other organs where there sometimes death occurs due to maybe arrest or maybe kidney failure or something like that, specifically in corona patients?
See, once COVID-19 attacks a person, gets into his system, as I said, that once it escapes the adenoid and then goes in. So lung is the area where huge amount of blood through the pulmonary comes from the heart, take the oxygen and goes out, right? So it spreads into the blood. So what the scientists have seen is there is a particular protein component called ACE, Alpha Charlie Echo 2, numerical 2, ACE2 protein is the one with which it goes and binds itself and so on. So what's exactly happening is this spike protein goes and catches on to the membrane of the lung and then it goes inside. Then they start producing their copies, due to which lot of polyproteins starts getting produced, and then the cell gets inflamed. There are a lot of fluid content in the cell because of these fellows are multiplying themselves, and a lot of polyproteins are getting accumulated and whatnot. Then the cell gets blasted and a lot of COVIDs go out and gets onto other cells very fast. How fast it incubates itself. So the incubation period also vary from person to person, from 4 days to 18 days. That's what the recent studies have shown. Nevertheless, what happens is it really damages your lung cells more than when COVID goes beyond certain levels in the lung. What happens is there's a huge rush of neutrophils come in. Neutrophils are one of the antibodies, one of the main tool to control a foreign element, which is the COVID-19. When the neutrophil, a huge amount of it comes into the lung, it's produced by our immune system. They start producing reactive oxygen. Reactive oxygen is an oxygen which is a free radical. We'll be talking about a free radical in one of our conversations.
Sure.
So reactive oxygen is the one which when it is born, when it is given birth by the human cell in the oxidative phosphorylation part of the human cellular respiration, it destroys the cells. So why these reactive oxygens are huge amount of it is the huge amount of neutrophils come in and produce huge amount of this reactive oxygen, which is to kill the virus.
Right.
But reactive oxygen instead go and kill the lung cells
itself
in a very fast manner. So the faster the neutrophils in huge quantum comes in, and the faster in which it produces a huge quantum of reactive oxygen, the huge quantum in which the lung cells get destroyed, so you succumb to death. Then what happens is the lung is losing its capacity every hour, and then the heartbeat goes up because the body wants more oxygen. Then the hypertension goes up, then you collapse.
And the blood pressure also must be.
Hypertension is blood pressure. Because heartbeat first goes up, then the blood pressure goes up. Blood pressure goes up because it is coming for more oxygen. So you are suffering for breathing. We are putting you into oxygen. Then we put you into ventilator. We are trying to support you with oxygen. But the lung is damaging and going in a rapid session. So you tend to die. This is what happens. In which category of people it happens and all, we can't say.
Okay.
It's very difficult.
That's difficult to predict as of now.
Yeah, in case if you recover after certain amount of time, going into the ventilator, surviving and coming out, they are seeing a lot of scars there's a permanent damage of
On the lungs.
certain percentage of lung, which varies from person to person. That's what the pictures you can go and see in the YouTube, how it is giving permanent damage to the
scarring
lung.
of the lungs. As you said, permanently damaging that part of the
that
cell.
can never revive back.
That cannot
So
be
your potency of the lung, after which the time frame for which you live, you will be living with 80% of your lung or 70% of your lung, or whatever may be the size of the scar, the damage taken place already.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a huge rush around the world to find a vaccine or develop a vaccine for COVID-19. Do you think that a vaccine will actually help the world eradicate the virus completely?
Vaccine is the basic system that we've been very successful in modern science for many things that we have a huge history on that.
Right.
So now the modern science has its own system, its own school of thought is to fast go and protect ourselves from these kind of viruses, so that give basic confidence to the human population, because this COVID-19 is one of the thing in our lifetime we are seeing it has affected the entire global population.
Entire world, yeah.
So everybody is rushing in. There are nearly about 70 viruses are there at the moment in research. Nearly about 13 or 14 of them is already crossed the animal model, human model is going on and all that stuff. If we are going to come out with a successful vaccine, definitely it will be a protection for us. No doubt whatsoever in that. But how fast that they are going to bring in is going to be a question mark. It's not so difficult to produce a vaccine within a short span of time, because you need to see the longevity of the risk factor of the vaccines. Once the risk factors are ruled out, then we need quite a sufficient time to see one factor, that how long that I can protect myself with a vaccine. Say suppose if I am taking a vaccine for yellow fever, which has already been there,
Right.
then once I go through a shot, if I am working in a merchant navy in a ship, then this ship goes to all parts of the country. So there are certain basic vaccines that I have to take before boarding into the ship.
Right.
So in that one mandatory stuff is vaccination for yellow fever. So once I take an yellow fever, then they say that for 3 years I am safe. So after the 3rd year, that stipulated time is over, I have to take one more.
True.
So in COVID-19 vaccine, when we successfully going to come out tomorrow with a vaccine, what is the time period for which it can sustain me from not, protect me from the virus? Maybe for 6 months, 1 year, 2 year, which we need time.
True.
So that how they are going to do, we have to wait and see.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think many people are talking about the time factor. It's more like we want the vaccine.
No, we are it is an emergency situation.
It's an emergency, yeah.
So we are desperately looking around for something to protect ourselves.
True.
Yeah.
So one thing that intrigues me is that while yes, we are talking about a vaccine, and vaccine will help in this emergency situation, it will also help reduce the anxiety of the entire world. That's at
It's
very
going to
high
give you
level.
mental comfort, definitely.
Mental comfort will be there, definitely. But the core of this is actually the immunity factor. Because today it could be COVID-19 and tomorrow it could be something else, and we cannot go through this entire wave. I mean, I don't think the world can afford to go through another wave like this. So it comes back to the basics, and I think Indian medicine very beautifully targets immunity rather than targeting disease 1, disease 2, disease 3. Ayurveda and Siddha looks at the root cause of immunity. So what is the medicine would not be the right word for it, but the factors that are there in our Tamil medicine, Siddha medicine, etc.
This is a very interesting question in the sense like, see, I worked in the area of traditional sciences in the last 34 years now. So one of the subjects is virology. Right. There are enough of materials are there in the net. There are enough of virology classes are there in the YouTube. So virology is one of the most interesting subjects. So there are many school of scientific approaches towards virology. It's been happening in the last more than 150, 200 years. in modern science. So I study the modern science to, which will enable me to understand that this is the era of modern science. So the ancient science was there. We don't know the anthropology part of it, how old it is.
Sure.
But ancients have dealt this in a very beautiful manner. Very, very beautiful manner. There is one substance in this world which is an absolute perfect component which can kill any virus in the world. Is arsenic.
Arsenic.
Yeah.
Which you had told
Arsenic
us was
is
there
called
in
the
mustard.
red arsenic, which is naturally available in the. It's a geological material.
Right. And you had
So
also told us it's available in mustard, and that's the reason we.
No, that is cyanide.
Oh, that's cyanide. Sorry.
That's different. There are two high value arsenics. There one is red arsenic, which is called monosila in Tamil. The other one is arsenic trisulfate, which is called aridaram in Tamil. So any medicine which is made out of arsenic is a deadly toxin.
Right. Yeah.
Which modern science, rather I would say that they try to avoid that because they don't understand the how to detoxify. The subject of toxicology here come into play.
The toxicity is so high that it's difficult to use with medicines, etc. Is it that?
They don't go near it, that's it. Because they don't want to take any chance. But the ancients have dealt more than 60 numbers of toxins to make medicines. Because their understanding of toxicology was supreme. They know how to detoxify and they know what quantity to be sent in. So there is one, there are many medicines are made with red arsenic in ancient Tamil system. Ayurvedic do not deal with red arsenic. If at all there are one or two Ayurvedic drugs where red arsenic is used, if you take the pharmacopoeia, their text references from Siddha medicine, Tamil medicine.
Right.
From that origin only they take the reference and do it. So only one other person who has handled arsenic is Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, who is the father of homeopathy, who was born in 1755 and in 1800s when he came with homeopathy, he came with, he believes in 70 to 80 ppm, bringing in arsenic will, 70 to 80 ppm always he believes the therapeutic value. That is particle per million.
Particle per million.
So he has, in homeopathy we have a medicine called arsenic album. So we are not going to talk about that. We talk about the ancient Tamil heritage. There is one medicine which I would rather give importance is Sivanar Avildam. Sivanar Avildam is a medicine which is made by Karurar, who is one of the 18 legendary Siddhas. So it's a fantastic medicine for one medicine for 540 diseases. It is an oral medicine. And if you take that with betel leaf, you can smash your COVID-19 straight. Within 3 days you become negative. 5 to 7 days you can eradicate the entire stuff from the blood once you are affected with COVID-19. As a prevention, if you want to use, you have to sniff it in either of your nose, a small pinch of it. Nauseum it's called. The fastest way to administer a medicine in a human body is the eye.
Is the eye?
Yes. The moment you drop an eye drop, there is no time taken there to touch the blood. The second fastest way to administer a medicine is nasal.
To the nasal cavity.
Sniff it through the nose. The third one is smoking. The cigarette smoking came from medical methodology, how to administer a medicine. For all the diseases, those days they had smokes. In the sense, they take this tobacco leaf, put medicine, roll it and give it to you in numbers. You smoke one in the morning, one in the evening for the disease, whatever disease you have. There are people who practice still that. You have a fantastic person in Pune, an Ayurvedic doctor. He gives you these cigarettes filled with medicines. Any cirrhosis of the liver, he clears it.
Interesting.
Many number of cancers, he clears it. It's very interesting stuff. We will not go into that. In Tamil system, we have spoken about Virosanam. Agathiyar Mahakorambu is the highest virosanam, this purging medicine, which has both red arsenic and arsenic trisulfate. Any viruses which goes inside your body, there's some amount of it will be in the liver forever till you live, which can get washed off, which can get completely eradicated by giving one virosanam, or maybe 2 or 3 in a successive period. But if you take, if you sniff it once in the morning and once in the evening, this particular powder, it is a foolproof system. You can live with 1,000 COVID patients in an arena and eat with them in the same plate. Nothing will happen to you.
Oh.
Yeah.
So finally, sir, is it available?
No, for the research purposes, we've been handling this for a long time. So we are using it. I think we have given it to you also. And we give it to whatever little people around us and our family members and things like that. Anybody comes and asks for it, we give them.
Okay. So there is traditional Tamil science or ancient Tamil science does have a cure for not just the COVID-19 but any kind of virus.
Viruses of all of same thing, you know, like they are of different proteins and different fat components around it. If you take COVID-19 in the nuclei, it has a string of an RNA. Some have a string of a DNA. It's of different genomes, but they are all you know, created naturally. No viruses is new in this world. All viruses existed, existing, and going to exist forever. Ever since living organisms are being created by nature in this world. Nothing that new for you. When you see something which you have not seen before, you think that you have spotted something new. But you don't know the anthropology of that particular stuff, how old it is.
True.
Because you don't have measured parameters to read the nature, the past. We don't know. We did not know HIV till 1972.
Absolutely.
Prior to that, there are so many people may have died with HIV, which we don't know they died out of HIV. Only in, see, biochemistry started only after 1970, even though it was started in 1930. Because we never had modern gadgets and many sophisticated equipments and other things to study all these things in a very, zoom in and go in and see the minute part of it and all that, which we had some amount of it in 1970. After 1995, we had many gadgets. After 2002, we have a lot of stuff to, keep seeing all these things.
Right.
Yeah.
So
HIV for which you have not found a vaccine till now.
Yeah.
Maybe, I wish Corona, they will come out with a vaccine very fast.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So this was very, very valuable information and stuff that we don't read on either the articles or the lots of forwards and hearsay, etc. Coming back, I think there is hope. There is very soon that a vaccine will come. But to keep ourselves safe, first, yes, there is a medicine. Our ancient Tamil science does have a medicine for not just the COVID-19, for any kind of virus. Secondly, the important thing is to look at your own immunity, look at how you live, because today it could be COVID, tomorrow it could be something else, and you cannot be fighting all the time. So the basic question is, how am I living? What am I doing for my immunity? How am I strengthening myself? Let's step back a little from all of this COVID talk and look at ourselves a little bit and strengthen our own immunity and our own life. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.